Welcome to the Motivation Without the Hype podcast with your host, Gez Perez. He's an author, high-performance coach, and motivational speaker. This show brings you inspiring messages and interviews to unleash your greatness in life and in business. So let's get started.
Hi everyone, welcome to Motivation Without the Hype podcast show. My name is Gez Perez, a former procrastinator into an action taker. We bring you inspirational messages and interviews, including motivational insights, tips, principles, and proven strategies that you can take action on without the hype in unleashing your greatness in life and in business. Now guys, we appreciate you plugging in and spending time with us, and we have a very special guest, and I'm super grateful to have him on our show, and his name is Alex. Alex is an award-winning public speaker in Southeast Asia. Take note, guys. He's world-renowned for his enthusiasm, energy, and rockstar methods. Guys, rockstar methods in motivating others. Alex is a serial entrepreneur. He is the founding president of Influence Institute, the co-founder of NYC and Manila Speaker Summit, and the co-host of Stories After Swipe Right podcast. Guys, put it up together. Alex, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Gez. What an awesome intro. I love your energy. I love your enthusiasm. I reckon we're really going to add value to the Motivation Without the Hype listeners in this episode. That's what I'm all about today with you, adding value. So I really appreciate you for having me on the show. Thank you, Gez.
No, oh man, the honor is mine. I think I'm so grateful that what you're going to provide, and I love the energy, the enthusiasm. And guys, those who are listening right now, I know I'm jumping ahead, but you got to follow this guy. He is the real deal. So when it comes to motivating, inspiring others, I've seen his content. It is next level ninja. So guys, again, get connected with him. We can do all the show notes at the very end. But guys, those who don't know Alex yet, Alex, tell us what you do and who you are and what you're about.
Absolutely. So I'm going to quickly summarize this as much as I can because I love telling stories, and there's just so much layers to my character, especially as an entrepreneur. But mainly my entire life is focused around entrepreneurship. And so I'm Filipino-American. I grew up in New York City, in Queens, New York, to be exact. And so half of my life has been in Queens. The other half has been in Manila, Philippines, which is where I'm based right now. And something exciting about me is that later on this month, so it's September now, September 28th, I'm moving back to the United States and try to become an entrepreneur there. So other than entrepreneurship, I also function as a speaker, motivational speaker, and I'm an aspiring author as well.
Nice. That's amazing, man.
Yeah, thank you.
So how long have you been doing what you've been doing in terms of motivational speaking, and how did you get started?
So I've been doing motivational speaking professionally for 6 years. Unprofessionally, as in like I'm just doing it for the love of it without getting paid. Yeah. So that's 2 years. So all in all, I've been doing motivational speaking for about 8 years. And why I do what I do when it comes to public speaking and how I get started, because that's tied up, like the why and how. So to quickly tell a short story, I was working at a bank 6 years ago. And while I was, very, very satisfied with my job, I did not feel the fulfillment. You know what I mean? And it was like my day off. And I was watching YouTube, and an ad came up on YouTube. It's crazy, man. I'm not even sure you're going to believe this, but an ad came up on YouTube of this guy talking to thousands of people about stress, how to deal with stress, how to deal with anxiety, how to deal with depression, how to bounce back, and all of that. And he was just using his voice to impact and help people. And I'm sure you know who this guy is. This person was Tony Robbins. So, for anyone who doesn't know, Tony Robbins is one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best motivational speakers in the planet. And that YouTube ad changed my life. You know what I said after watching that ad? I was like, I can do that. I can also speak to hundreds, thousands of people about stress, dealing with stress, adversity, and managing anxiety, eventually talking about mental health, helping people with that as well. And I just got that epiphany, man. And after that, I think it was a few weeks later where I resigned from my post and followed my dream of becoming a speaker, helping people with their stress and adversity. There you go.
So, there are a lot of challenges along the way because, there's a decision that you need to make. And sometimes when you make a decision, you got to, you really got to burn the boats, as what Tony Robbins would say, right?
Yeah.
You make a decision, it's all about, there's no turning back. What was that pivotal moment for you to say, you know what, I'm going to do this, go all in? And, there's a lot of fear factors, there's a lot of belief systems that we go through. But for you, it's like you've got a revelation, something just really clicked on you. What was that moment of time?
So that's a great question. I don't get asked that a lot simply because I don't think people want to hear the truth about it.
Well, we need to hear the truth, man.
Yeah, I'm about to lay it down. The truth is that the epiphany, or what's the word you use? The revelation that I got, it wasn't even so much as a positive one. Like it had a positive impact. Like it made me take action. It made me execute. But the real driving factor was kind of bordering negative. And why do I say that? It's because my driving factor at that time was regret. Like something within me knew that if I didn't follow this path, and I'm just going to use a term, what I call internal GPS. Like if I don't follow this internal GPS or this blinking light inside of me, 5-10 years from now, I'm going to wake up just full of regrets, full of what ifs. And that scared the heck out of me. So when people ask me, like, what's the epiphany? What's the revelation? A lot of people expect, I just want to help people. I want to impact people. I want to add value and all of that jazz. But I was just scared. I just didn't want to wake up with these regrets, with these what if questions. I didn't want to wake up not having fulfilled 100%. my life's purpose. So yeah, there you go.
I think that's really important because, and it's good that you have that different lens and perspective because they like to think about the good things. Oh yeah, you're gonna add value, blah 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 blah. We don't realize that even starting a business or even an entrepreneurship, there's gonna be a lot of teething problems. There's gonna be a lot of storming right before you actually go into performing stage.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people tend, oh yeah, they're gonna start a business, but don't realize, man, it takes a lot of hard work, smart work, leverage. Talks about really humbling yourself, getting mentors, getting trainers to learn and grow and expand and really build that thicker skin, right? And I think that's really important. But for you, it's great. It's like we don't want to live in regret, right? Because you can never change the past. I think that's what you're putting across is, I can't really change the past, but I know that I can change my future and destiny because I don't want to live in regret. Can you imagine doing the same thing over and over when you're in in the banking industry, 5 years down the track, and you're still the same person?
It's the same thing. It's routine.
Absolutely.
You could really not that I'm hating on the banking industry. Like they're cool, but it was just not for me because I felt that it was just the same thing over and over and over again, and I just had this calling that I was pulled to. I wasn't even pushed to do it. There was nothing forced. I was pulled by this. This was something that I was drawn to. Not just because of I want to help people, I want to add value, I want to find my voice. It's because I was just scared. Fear is one of the strongest emotions. And one of the I guess pivots that I had made back then was I allocated my fear into something that would grow me into the person that I am today. So
how did you develop that pull? Because a lot of people tend to miss that. And so they kind of push it too much that they get overwhelmed, get burnt out, and throw in the towel of giving up on their dreams. But for you, it's a different take because there's a dire pull. Can you just explain just a bit on that? Because there's so many people who may be listening right now are kind of in that transition mode where they're either pushing or they're kind of getting the hint of that draw. Can you explain a bit further about that?
Absolutely. I would love to, Gez. So one of the I've managed fear in a lot of ways, but one of my favorite things to talk about when managing fear, and hopefully Motivation Without the Hype listeners, now is the time to take down notes. This is crazy. All right. It's something that I call choosing your discomfort. Those 3 words shaped my life because it not only did it help me to manage fear, it helped me to compartmentalize certain things. So let me give you and the listeners a little bit of context, right? When I talk about choosing your discomfort, here's what I mean. So to fail, okay, a lot of people, when they fail, it's crazy. They feel bad about it. It's a blow to their ego. It's a blow to their pride. It overall just sucks to fail. While it is encouraged, failing all the time, it's just uncomfortable. No one wants to be a failure, right? So there's discomfort in failure. And there's a fear in feeling that discomfort most of the time, right? Now, the thing is, the flip side, in success, it's equally uncomfortable. The discomfort, it's just the same thing. Like to want to be, or to be in that spotlight, a lot of people don't even want to be there. A lot of people don't want to lose their anonymity. A lot of people don't want to lose their sense of privacy and all of that. And also at the same time, a lot of people don't want to be out there in public, open for the public to judge, criticize, and just talk about them in such ways that might hurt them. And when it comes to success, that's just part of the territory. To be out there, because you would be that lighthouse, that beacon of hope that, hey, you know what? I'm out here. I'm vulnerable. I'm not perfect. Here are my flaws as well. I'm authentic. And if I could do this, it is my hope that I could inspire you to do the same. So one way that I was able to develop the mindset of managing fear, or at least not even managing fear, but working through it, like powering through it, was choosing my discomfort. Once again, failure, it's uncomfortable. Success, it's uncomfortable. So I think the answer is obvious. It's the latter. You might as well choose success. But once again, easier said than done. But, before you even do anything, you make these decisions in your mind. It's the mindset first. So if you can make that mental leap to dare to be great, to decide that no matter how uncomfortable it's going to be, I will choose success, then that's already half the battle. Or you've already won half the battle.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think greatness, it happens outside of your comfort, right? And it requires that type of action to really get out of it. It's really to get uncomfortable, right? It's going through certainty, but you need to go through uncertainty first, right? And every time you want to, say for body transformation, like if you want to work out, there's always a resistance, right? In order for you to get that sculpting body, man, there's a resistance to it. You gotta, the weights, everything else plays into part with that. And I think I love what you mentioned about the mindset. The mindset is really important because 80% of your mindset, then 20% is your skill set. So what about the skill set? How did you develop, right? Because once you've conquered the mindset, like what is the Thrive method that we teach and train our clients is, it's all about the mindset, the skill set, and the execution. So from the skill set, how did you develop your skills as a speaker, knowing that you got purpose? Like, yeah, I want to do this. It's really uncomfortable, but I'm going to get over it. How did you do that?
So when I became a speaker, not only did I become a speaker, but I also became an entrepreneur, because I'm not like a freelance speaker. Like I own a speakership business. So I had to learn a lot of skills. I had to wear many hats. As you well know, Gez, and the listeners of Motivation Without the Hype, if you're an entrepreneur, you got to wear the hat of leadership. You got to wear the hat of sales, marketing, branding, customer experience, everything. On top of that, I was a speaker. So the vision was there. But let me lay down the hard truth for you. It's not enough. To have vision, that's absolutely amazing, because you know where you're going. You've got the clarity, the plans, the goals, and all of that. But the action map is missing. This, how are you going to deal with the remaining 20%? The skills. How do you develop the skills? Right? And what I did was, especially in line with stress and adversity management for entrepreneurs, because I believe that entrepreneurs go through a certain they just go through this certain mental health concerns that not a lot of people understand. You know what I mean? It's like an iceberg. So at the tip of the iceberg, people might see the nice house, the beautiful car, and the hanging out with celebrities or whatever it is that entrepreneurs are doing now. But at the bottom of the iceberg, they don't see the struggle. They don't see the suffering. You know what I mean? It's just missing from social media. You know what I mean? People just don't talk about these things. And where you develop the skills is just right below that iceberg. That's where the hustle and grind, that 20%, don't be fooled by the 20%, that 20. I know that, psychology, mindset, vision, it's 80, simply because you just need it that much. But don't dismiss the 20%, the upskilling, the action mapping, and all of that. Now, in line with stress and adversity management, a lot of people go through what you also might be familiar with, Gez. It's called analysis paralysis. So it's like, from my understanding, it's when people gather information. And they're always gathering information. If they're doing all the right things, like attending a webinar, attending a seminar, getting the proper coach, increasing their support group, creating their circle of champions, and all of that, getting mentors and all of that. And you can have all of that information, all those people supporting you. But if you don't take action, if you don't do anything about those skills, to develop those skills and put it into application, then it will be for nothing. Okay, so one of the things that I learned that I would love to share to Motivation Without the Hype audience is knowledge is only as powerful as execution. So to get rid of the analysis paralysis, to get rid of that, you have to have a healthy balance between, okay, I'm going to gather information, I'm going to get mentor, get a coach, watch these webinars, learn, take notes and all that. But what am I doing to apply it? What am I doing to execute? So it's just a healthy balance between knowledge and execution. And knowledge is only as powerful as execution. And that's what I did. That's what I did to upskill. That's what I did to fulfill that 20%. And another thing that I would like to build on, I'm not sure if you're familiar. You might be. You know how people say CEOs have to read at least 52 books, like one book a week.
That's what they say.
Yeah, that's what they say. And that baffles me because you're gathering knowledge. 51 book a week, gathering knowledge. So if you're reading one book a week and you're a CEO, you must be, once again, entrepreneur, CEO, you're wearing all of these hats. How do you have time for reflection? How do you have time to execute, and then after executing, be able to analyze what has been executed and then work on the feedback and then do better? You probably don't. You know what I mean? I don't subscribe to the 52 books a year. I'll read like one or two books. I'll master that book. I will master the crap out of that book and then execute it within my business. You know what I mean? So that's what I did. And a lot of entrepreneurs go through stress and adversity, specifically for entrepreneurs, because of this analysis paralysis. It's because of that they experience it.
How do you overcome analysis paralysis to those who are listening right now that are kind of in that stage where, you talk about stress and adversity, but let's turn it up a little bit. How do you build resiliency, right, to overcome the analysis paralysis? Because you consume so much information, but you're just bogged down with all the details rather than, okay, what's the vision for me to take action? And I love what you said, knowledge is power only when it's applied, right?
Yes.
Right? It's when you say, there's execution, and I find that we've got so much similarities in how we think and how we do things in taking certain actions, because it's really great to take action, but you need to take the right type of strategy in taking that action. You mentioned about the 20% about the skill set, but at the end of the day, it's 100% being committed, 100% being dedicated, right? 100% going all in. And I think that's what you displayed in your journey is, yes, I done the 80%, I done the 20%, but it's that 100% of going all in, not turning back, and now you're seeing the dividends paying.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, it's. I love what you said about resilience, and it was just a thought starter for me when talking about knowledge is only as powerful as execution. Right in the middle of knowledge and execution, there's that resilience, and you keep going. It's just something that you keep going back to. You know what I mean? I think resilience is a skill that, or you might even compare it to a muscle that, of course, if you don't use or if you don't develop, it'll just turn out to become brittle. And entrepreneurship is not for the brittle or faint-hearted. Okay, that's just the hard truth of it. You know what I mean? Not a lot of people talk about it on social media, but here we are. So let's do it, right? One of the ways that I found effective in developing resilience, specifically for entrepreneurs and stress and adversity management, is number one. You have to change your relationship with stress. So a lot of people, when they feel stress, or even when they think about stress, or even when they hear someone talk about stress, or right down to just hearing or reading the word stress, automatically the first few things that come to their mind is deadlines, feeling bad, my boss, anxiety, traffic, depression, the weather, complaining, all of these things, negative things. But the flip side is, when you think about stress, it can be a positive experience. And so how do we do that? So the next time you feel stressed, the next time you think about stress and all of that, one best practice that I could share with everyone is, the moment you feel that stress, or the moment you're about to experience or are experiencing adversity, is the first thing you can do, instead of like going towards the trigger where, okay, I'm gonna have a crappy day, or this is gonna be crazy, I'm stressed and all of that. The one thing that you can do instead is ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What can I learn from this? And by making your stress, by that experience, stress and adversity, by making that experience a learning experience, you win. So entrepreneurs, they experience stress daily, adversity all the time.
Every time.
Yeah, so there's really no break. It's like people think entrepreneurs, they're living the good life. They've got the good life. While that is true, it's not constant. They're not constantly living that life. They do certain things right below the iceberg to then experience that pinnacle moment where I got my first house, got my first car, was able to close a big client, was able to get my big break. It's that part, that resilience that you develop, that stress and adversity in between. And one way you could really fast forward into resilience and execution is to once again be able to change your relationship with stress. And instead of feeling crappy about stress, make it a learning experience by asking a powerful question, such as, okay, I'm stressed, or I'm dealing with stuff. What can I learn from this right now? What's positive in this situation? How can it shape me? How can it grow me? What's this trying to teach me? That's just my secret.
Wow. How do you build habits, high-performing habits? Because we're all creatures of habits. So we deal with our BS, which is our belief systems. We deal with our stress and adversity. But how do you build great habits that's going to help you build consistency and momentum in your life? Because we all know that, problems and challenges is inevitable in entrepreneurship. But that's when we start to apply the smarts. That's when we start to, think differently, right? We start to think in a different type of level, because we've gone through that route of adversity and stress. We ask that question, what can I learn from this? And then move forward rather than getting stuck. How do you build high-performing habits that are going to get you more consistent, more committed, and get that momentum happening so you're always progressing forward and not stepping backwards?
So here's how I'm going to answer that question. I want to build off of what you said earlier about thinking differently, because you already answered your own question. You just got to think differently. So what is it meant exactly by differently, right? So here's what I did when I was going through all that stress, when I was going through all this adversity, and as an entrepreneur, I'm still going through it. Make no mistake. Okay, I'm still going through it, right? It's just that I could manage it. I could manage it better. So the thing that I did was, especially when it comes to building these habits, or specifically when you're dealing with stress and adversity, it's creating healthier triggers. So building habits, healthier triggers can be synonymous, especially when we're talking about stress and adversity for entrepreneurs, but my answer will be the same regardless. And that answer is, you got to be tactical about your critical thinking. Once again, thinking differently. You got to think tactical, okay? So when we talk about habit building, a lot of it is focused on action. Even if you're just progressing like 1%, Kaizen, even if you're just Kaizening the crap, the 1% out of that on a daily basis, then you're building that habit. But the more I thought about it, the more I was thinking critically about it, thinking tactically about it. Shall we define tactical for a second here, just so everyone, especially the listeners, can get into the same page? It's having a plan. So being tactical, it's usually a military. It's usually a military term, right? But it can be used. It can be used in entrepreneurship, especially when it comes to marketing and all of that. But when it comes to mindset and stress and adversity, you got to be tactical about habit building. Okay, you gotta. And a lot of people usually, once again, don't focus on being tactical about it because they're more focused on action. But what type of action are you taking? How can you qualify your action? How can you measure it? So I'm talking about critical thinking right now. You got to ask these empowering questions. All right, how do I know that I would have succeeded? How do I know that I would have gotten to the place where I want to be? What do I need to do? Who do I need to talk to? Who can help me? You know the 5 W's and 1 H? How often do we apply that in habit building? You know what I mean? So one way that I build habits is I invest time in planning. I invest time being in the vision board, being tactical about it. Objectives, planning, deadlines, everything is there. Because that helps me, having all of that on my vision board, helps me to have ownership. It's easier to own a habit if you first, develop all of the things around it, all the tactical stuff, like, once again, planning, objectives, what's your action map, what's your deadline, who needs to help you, when are you going to do it, when are you going to stop, and all of that stuff in between. That's what I've tried. I still do, by the way. I get into a lot of new things on a daily basis. Like earlier when you gave me my intro, you talked about NYC Manila Speaker Summit, which is a business that I had developed during the pandemic. So it was a huge pivot for me. But before, my thought starter for NYC Manila Speaker Summit is habit building. So how do I create a habit where even though I'm working from home, I'm still keeping myself sharp? How do I do that? I'm still, my skills are still being upgraded. I'm still networking, meeting with these people. Now, for a little bit of context, NYC Manila Speaker Summit it's an international virtual conference where we focus on inspiration, education, and we just bring speakers, especially speakers and professionals from all around the world together in one webinar. It's like a summit. So that's like from building the habit of, okay, how do I keep myself sharp? Oh, okay, back to the vision board. Here's what I can do about it. How do I turn it into a business? Hence, NYC Manila Speaker Summit. So yeah, hopefully I was able to answer your question and help out your audience if they feel like they need a little bit more answers on habit building. That's not just focused on action. Also, a lot to do with critical thinking.
Yeah, and critical thinking. I think the internal is really important because anyone can take action, anyone can take execution, but again, it's the right strategy and the right mindset to take that strategy. And I like how you're tactical about planning, and I think that's really important as an entrepreneur. You got to plan ahead. You got to see the vision, but you got to plan to the T, right? Because structures always create outcomes, right? When you have a certain structure and a framework, that gives you the outcome that you need. So, and when you have that, that actually speeds up the process. And that's when you start to have agility thinking, right? Not only do you have critical thinking, but agile.
You become
agile. The way you do things, yeah, exactly. The new ways of doing things in terms of business. And I think you've got that. And I think a lot of people, that's why when you manage stress and adversity, when you have a clear pathway, that's going to give you confidence. That's going to give you certainty. That's going to give you clarity, that everything that you need, because it's all in front of you. So regardless of stress or adversity, you got the plan, right? Because you're the man with the plan, and that, you can't go back, which is phenomenal. And this is why we experienced, the Speaker Summit, which is fantastic. I believe that, and I've seen the content, which is phenomenal. We've got world-class, speakers, which is, blowing the socks off people in terms of inspiration. But you also have Influence Institute. So how did that get started?
So there's actually a wonderful story behind I Influence Institute. So remember earlier in the show where I talked about resigning from my previous post as a banker and following my dream as a speaker, and me talking about building a business out of my speaking engagements? That is the Influence Institute. So the Influence Institute is where I pour in all of my resources, a lot of my time, a lot of my energy and vision. My entire soul goes into that company. Okay, and it's just a platform or a channel where I use it to just bring value to people, and bring value to myself as well. The people that I meet, they help me. And a few mediums of I Influence Institute, some ways that we help people are just through speaking engagements. Now with the new normal, it's through webinars, podcasting now as well. So we're doing a little bit of that. We do coaching, one-on-one coaching, group classes as well, all around stress and adversity management. Now, the funny thing is, going back a little bit about this story, when I had quit and became an entrepreneur, I was faced with a huge dilemma that had something to do with integrity and just work ethic. So when I became an entrepreneur, when I was a new entrepreneur, I was going through a certain phase where all I wanted was significance and certainty. I wanted this to work, and I needed the master plan to make it work. And when I became an entrepreneur, I wasn't humble, man. I felt like I was beyond people, and that was so terrible of me to think so. And the universe really humbled me in terms of this dilemma that I faced. So I'm gonna tell it in the form of a question, right? And let me ask you as well, Gez, while you're here, right? What do you think is the opposite of the good thing?
Oof. The opposite of a good thing.
Yeah, what's the opposite? You know what I mean? Just let me know the first thing that pops into your head.
The opposite of a good thing is a bad thing. Like it's
right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the normal trigger, right? And it's something that people are conditioned to think. And I had to get rid of that conditioning when I became an entrepreneur. Okay, because let me give you a thought-provoking answer, Gez, and for the Motivation Without the Hype podcast, right? The opposite of the good thing is not the bad thing. The opposite of the good thing is the right thing. Once again, the opposite of the good thing is the right thing. Here's what I mean. So I'm going to share a few experiences and a few examples as well, so everyone can be on the same page about this learning that I have with integrity and ethics. When I became an entrepreneur, I was just doing good things. I was just doing a bunch of good things. And what were those good things? Okay, so I started a business, and I was able to hire coaches, was able to hire mentors, and all of that, and I'm posting a lot on social media. Okay, so that's good, right? But as all entrepreneurs know, especially if you're a startup, if you're not selling, like if you don't have a hand on sales, you will go to the ground. So I was doing the good thing, gathering all this information, getting all the training, pumping up my social media. Once again, I was talking about significance. I wanted everyone to see that Alex is now a CEO/founder, blah, 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 right? But that was the good thing. It wasn't the right thing. The right thing was, okay, to stop being in my head, stop, stop being in between my butt cheeks and working on my ego, and instead start focusing on sales. So for that reason, when I started my business, I did not close my first sale till after 9 months, man. It was a lot of people would be, are you crazy? Why didn't you quit?
It took me 2 years,
right? So what I mean.
Because we build coaching skills, we build really great coaching skills as the good thing. But the right thing is, how do I build my business skills? How do I have that business mindset and acumen?
There you go.
Right? Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the missing element. You're passionate about speaking, awesome. But are you making money out of what you're speaking? Not really.
There you go.
Right? And that's the opposite of being good, right? And I think
exactly.
the right thing is, hey,
exactly.
It's awesome to, give to the world, yes, but at the same time, you got a family to feed. You've got, food
Take care of
to
your
put on
family.
the table.
Work-life balance.
Yeah, absolutely, right. So, again, that's the missing element where people give up on their dreams. They give up on their goals because, it's too hard. But they don't put the smarts into this. And, we talk about, SMART, right? Smart, measurable, achievable, realistic in time. But I always put the ER, which is we got to be smarter. So we got to have the energy and enthusiasm, but we need to have that resiliency, that R, right? That complements of all those SMART, right? And what you've depicted, man, that is powerful, and that's doing the right thing, right? Because you'll be out of business, right? And that's not really smart. It's not the smarter way.
Not smart at all. You could start this business and great, whoa, you're an entrepreneur. Congrats, right? But entrepreneurship, it's about sustainability. You know what I mean? I've been an entrepreneur for almost 8 years. And there's a reason for that. I'm not a fly-by-night entrepreneur. It's because I continue to do the right thing. And it's not even about just business. It can be doing the right thing. You can relate that to a lot of stuff. Why don't we start with your physical body? Eating junk food, that's good. You know what I mean? But is it right? It's good to eat junk food. It tastes good and all of that. But is it right for your body? Obviously not. Especially if you're going for a certain tone or a certain sculpt that you have goals for. You know what I mean? Absolutely, it's not the right. It's good. It tastes good. It's not the right thing to do. Let's talk about family or friends. I've got friends, and you know what? But they're toxic friends. It's good that you've got friends. It's good that you're here for these people, that you want to help these people. It's good that you're here for this family member. But this certain person attacks your peace, disturbs your peace. So is it right to stay with them? You know what I mean? And at the same, what about your job? So like what I was going through. You know what? I'm satisfied. I was satisfied as a banker, but I was scared of all of these regrets.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
the what ifs.
Yeah. So it was good. The salary was good. The company was good. The benefits were good, and all that. But is it right? It wasn't right for me because I want to be here with you now. If I was, and I promise you, everything that I did and continue to do led me right to this moment to share to everyone right now. Do the right thing. You will know what's good from right. I promise you. It's intuition. You will know that. You will know it. Once again, follow that blinking light, that internal GPS. And you will know good from right. And I promise you, the more you follow that, you will get this inner revolution, man. This inner revolution that will just transform your life no matter what stress or adversity you go through. Once you've gotten that inner revolution, call it anything, epiphany, Gez called it revelation, inner revolution. Once you get that, you will be unstoppable.
Unstoppable. Yeah.
There you go, man.
Oh, man. Virtual high fives, y'all. This is
virtual
awesome.
high five.
Wow, man. Guys, if you're listening, I can tell you right now that you're off your chairs. If you're watching this video, you'd be like, dang, like a mic drop right there. And I think that's amazing. Guys, you got to get in touch with Alex. This is dynamite in terms of insights. And it's all about taking notes, but applying that relates to you, to take action. So, Alex, I ask this to every guest that's on the show. What is your meaning of motivation without the hype? And how do you use motivation for your personal success?
So motivation for me is just part of my toolkit. It's one of the most important parts of my toolkit. And I'm going to go back to what I said earlier about thinking differently and critical thinking. You got to be tactical about it. You got to be tactical about your motivation. Educate yourself about how you get motivated. A lot of people think, okay, I just got to be motivated and I'll do this. Did you ever stop to think, how are you motivated? Are you internally motivated or are you externally motivated? What's the quality of your motivation? So for further reference, you could read up on Susan Fowler, who talks about this. There are different tiers of motivation. There can be a positive type of motivation. There also can be a negative. Regardless of it being positive or negative, it's still motivation. It still causes you to take action. So of course, I would urge everyone to not only be motivated, but once again, be motivated, going back to what I said about integrity, be motivated the right way. Find a motivation that fulfills you, that energizes you, that invigorates you. That type of motivation. Motivation without the hype, there you go. That invigorating motivation, the right motivation. That's my message.
Guys, this is epic. Man. Speechless at the moment. This is fantastic. Guys, again, you got to get in touch with Alex. Look, Alex, thank you so much for jumping onto the podcast show. It is dynamite, and I know that this is not going to be the last, but I know there's going to be many of these episodes broadcasting around the world. Man, I am super grateful that we've connected in this way.
Absolutely.
Not only blessing the world, but really giving them the value they need to make that transformational change. So, guys, for more information and how you can get in touch with Alex, every information and the links are provided on the show notes. So please do get in touch with him and get connected with him. So if this episode has been helpful and uplifting, we would love for you to write a review to inspire more listeners to get plugged in. We will continue to provide high-value content in each and every episode. If you don't mind sharing this podcast show on social media by inviting others, it would mean the world to me. Every time you tag me, we will get the opportunity to share those posts, and together, I say it again, together we can make a difference in the lives of others through inspirational episodes just like this. So there you have it. In closing, continue to unleash your greatness and tell yourself that I can, I will, and I must, and we'll see you on the next episode.